Hello again. This is going to be a quick tutorial on how to clean out a T-Jet car. Specifically, this is a Fray car, but the same basic rules apply to everything. So here's our car, and the tools you're going to need. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, possibly. It depends on how the body's put on. This is just to remove the body. You're going to need a regular screwdriver. You're going to need a small tweezer. You're going to need a Q-tip, or maybe two. You're going to need a toothpick. You need a com cleaner. This is made by VRP. Looks like a thimble with a flat spot and a sanding disc on the end. That's 800 grit, I believe. You're going to need some oil when you put it back together. A couple of paper towel chunks, something like that, to help clean. And a piece of paper. And you're going to need some kind of cleaner. I use this electronics cleaner. If you don't have this, I like this because it dries super fast. It doesn't harm plastics. You can also use denatured alcohol or anything like that, or you can even do this dry, although I'd like a little bit of cleaner to help things out. So let's get right to it then. First step, take the body off. Just undo that screw there. Set the screw aside. Okay, remove the body. And the next step would be to remove the gear plate clamp. See, this one's got a V on it. That indicates forward. Don't forget that. That's how it's going to have to go back together. So pop that off like that. Just pry under it with a screwdriver. Set it aside. Now, in case the magnets are loose in this one, I'm just going to hold them down with my fingers here and just tilt out the top plate. You see you got your 3 gears on the top, com on the bottom, and a little oily residue all over the dang thing. So that's that. Let's remove the motor brushes. Don't forget which one's which. That's the front one. This is the back one. They're going to go back in the same exact place they were. This car's been run a bit. I can tell there's quite a bit of dirt inside. Usually if you've run a race or you run a half-hour run time, it's about time to maintain your Fray car. You're running stock T-Jets, maybe you can go a lot longer, but I like to keep these clean. They just are at peak performance when they're clean. So I got quite a bit of oily crud and fuzz and dirt here. And I'm just going to take my paper towel and clean it off. Clean off this rear magnet. Make sure those magnets go in the same way they came out. Don't flip them over. Don't do anything like that. You got to get them in the same place just to be consistent. You'll get more consistent running out of your car. So, okay, that's the rear magnet. That's cleaned up. Front magnet comes out. Going to clean that off. Always make note of which way they went in. This one I got a little X marked on the top of that rear magnet, and the front magnet's still painted blue on the top, so that's just going to go in with the paint side up. Alright, there's quite a bit of oily crud in here. I'm going to just clean this out with my little paper towel. We'll get this better later with a Q-tip. I'm just getting the big, really grungy stuff out of here. A lot of motor brush dust in here. It's pretty dirty. Okay, then we're going to get the idler gear off. Sometimes you can pop them off. That one came off pretty easy. And we're going to get in here with a piece of paper towel. There's a lot of residual oil, and you can even see some brass residue in here from the gears working. We're going to clean all that out. We don't want that in there. Just get in there and get that out of there. And get your thumbnail under here and kind of just clean around the post. Make sure that's cleaned up as much as you can. Underneath, there's residual oil here. We're going to clean that off. And a little bit of crud back in here I'm going to get. So just try to get it as clean as you can. A little more dirt there. Okay. Then on the idler gear, I usually like to, when there's some dirt there, just wipe it off with your thumb or a rag here. And then put this on a toothpick and just kind of gently roll it back and forth a little just to get whatever's in the bore out. See, there's some dirt in there, and that stays in there. It's going to just work as a grit to wear out the gear. So, next step, take your com cleaner, push it on the com, hold the armature steady, and apply some force, and just clean it up. So I'd like to turn it a little bit here, and do that a bit. Look at that, nice and clean. I pulled off a little bit of material. Okay. And the motor brushes. This is where the paper comes in handy. I'm going to take each motor brush. Don't forget which one's which. This is the rear one. Run it around on the paper, just pushing down, just kind of get some of the crud off of it. Same with the front one. Alrighty. Okay, now it's time to let's get the Q-tip out, put some cleaner on it. Prepare to be amazed here. I'm going to run this over the comm and run it especially between the comm segments. Get any kind of crud out of that thing. You don't want dirt in there. It can short out the comm, which ruins the car. So this is very important to get things clean. So you want that nice and clean. Look at that. It's really pretty. Look, it looked clean, but look at all the dirt I just pulled off. The same with the motor brushes. We'll do some more here. Get that nice and moist with the cleaner. And just run around the OD of the brush here. Kind of rolling it in my fingers. Then get the top of the brush. Anything that the paper might have missed. That's the rear one. Here's the front one. Do the same. Alrighty. And do a little more house cleaning here. Residual oil under the gear plate clamp. Just clean that up. Get inside the chassis here. There's plenty of dirt left that I didn't get before. Just run around in here and get that dirt out. And get any residual oil. Try to clean that up. There's no sense having oil just puddling in here. That doesn't help anything. I'm really going through this Q-tip. I'm gonna get another Q-tip. This car was pretty dirty. Get in there and clean up as much as I can. Blow out any fuzz. If you see any fuzz in there, there's some fuzz on the bottom. I'm trying to just clean up some of that too. There's even a little bit on the axle here. Get that with the tweezer. Alright. And I think the last thing we're going to do here, get your trusty toothpick again and just run it down into that armature hole gently. Don't push hard, just gently put it in the hole and spin it. Just getting out any residual oil and dirt. So we're going to start fresh. We're going to put it back together with fresh oil. And any dirt in there obviously isn't good. That's going to be grit, which will wear the shaft down and limit the life of your T-jet. So okay, now let's start putting her back together. That's the rear magnet. Same place it went before, same way. X marks up on this one. Blue paint up on that one. Get your trusty tweezers. Put in the motor brushes. Same way. That's the rear one. This is the front one. Okay, and then your top plate. This is some Habby's oil. And it's really good stuff, but there's lots of different good oils out there. I like the Habby's the best. And we're just going to oil liberally on top here. You can't go wrong putting a lot of oil on the top plate. Get these gears nice and lubed. And we're just going to take, oh, I'm sorry, and then a little here on this bottom gear too, underneath that gear. Spin that around. Okay, and you take your finger right on top of the gear and just push down. If you get lucky, it goes the first try. There, I didn't get lucky. It didn't. Those motor brushes shifted on me a little. So sometimes this takes a couple tries. There, second time was a charm. So it's in. Lots of oil on this idler post. You can't go wrong oiling the heck out of that. Our idler gear, put that right back on. Same way up. Don't put it upside down. You can always tell. Usually tell it's worn on the bottom. That's where it goes. It goes like that. A little more oil on top doesn't hurt anything. Gear plate clamp. This one's got a forward arrow on it, so put it back on with the arrow placing forward. That way we're always consistent in assembly. This is very important with these cars. Okay, so it's basically back together. Let's lubricate the axle. Actually, let's lubricate the wheels on this one. Not there, they're independent spinning wheels. Get the rear axle oiled here and here. Then in behind the gear right here, on the face of the gear right here, and down in that little shaft that's underneath the gear. I'm sorry, that's underneath the axle here that you can barely see. Make sure that's oiled. Then sometimes I usually put a little bit of oil on a few of the teeth here. That'll lubricate that 9-tooth gear and get the best mesh. Very little oil here. Do not over oil this hole right here. That's where the armature's coming through. Too much oil and you're going to have a gunky mess on your hands. Oil saturates the motor brushes and you're going to be in trouble then. Okay, that's it. Now we're going to put the body back on. I guess I can take my race sticker off. I see some dirt inside the body. Don't like that. Clean out that dirt. Okay. That rear screw is never tight. It's just there to help guide. Front screw goes right in the hole. Similarly, do not over tighten this screw. It's best if the body floats a bit. You go too tight, your handling drops off. So you can run it down snug and then back it off maybe a quarter to a half a turn and see how it sits. It feels pretty good. It's rocking and rolling. Move the body around. It's not dragging the track. You're good to go. Ready to win the next race. That's it. Hope that was helpful.